Okay, good morning, everybody. Welcome. Welcome to the Executive Member for Transport decision session on Tuesday, the 18th of November. My name's Councillor Kate Revilius and I'm Executive Member for Transport here at City of York Council. There are no apologies for absence and I have no declarations of interest. So the first item on the agenda for me is to sign the minutes. Give it to you, thank you. And then let's move straight on to the public participation. So I have 5 people who've registered to speak. Everybody will have 3 minutes to speak and I'm happy to give you a 30-second warning near the end if you would like it. So the first person I would like to invite up to speak is Councillor Whitcroft to speak about item number 6 on the agenda, residence parking, R66 Wellington Street. Would you like a 30-second reminder?
You're with you, Councillor.
Go when you're ready.
Councillor Revilius, officers, members of the public, I greet you this morning as Odysseus returning home to Ithaca. Like him, I feel joy at the journey finally ending, frustration at the man-made and sometimes mythical hurdles I faced, and like the modern reader, I feel surprised that it should take someone an entire decade to travel less than 1,000 miles. I did not quite take the council this long, although for a road group less than a square mile, the distance is hardly comparable. I nearly weep when I think of the countless officer hours, surveys, consultations and councillor sweat that went into the agenda item that I speak on today. Residence parking in road group R66. Councillor Revilius, you must today put an end to this journey for once and for all by approving this scheme. I was a resident of Willis Street, which is included in this road group, for over a year before I was a councillor. I know the pain that residents continue to experience as their parking spaces are clogged with cars from outside of York, their air quality suffers, and motorists trawl slowly round looking for a spot. And of course, the danger that such heavy traffic poses to local people. They have had enough, and they've been having enough for decades. Although the petition was submitted last decade, no progress had been made by the time I was elected in 2023. The ResPark implementation process was a Kafkaesque nightmare of bureaucracy, contradictions, and a discordant cacophony of rules, which made the introduction of ResPark nigh on impossible outside of piecemeal, street-by-street approaches. When I became a councillor, I decided to do something radical and different. I was not content with the lacklustre answer of my predecessors or the status quo argument. I have consistently and relentlessly pushed for more and improved residence parking, whilst others were meekly content to do nothing. Now that my motion to full council reforming the ResPark process has been put into place, let us use it for good. The reasons for approving more ResPark in the city are innumerable. Environmentally, transport connectivity, resident convenience, encouraging public transport. I could go on for hours, and sometimes I have. I hope you'll forgive the indulgence, but to quote myself at the transport decision session of October last year, my defence of ResPark does not rest on my residents alone. It is my informed opinion that more ResPark is a general good for the city as a whole. The R66 road group decision today does not just serve as an opportunity to finally improve the lives of all residents in the Redfern area, but serves as a symbol for the entire city. Fishergate Ward will be proof of a Labour council putting residents' transport needs first, a Labour council that dares to act. I thank you, Councillor Revilius, for your endless support and goodwill in this fight for Fishergate. You were sometimes the only person making me feel I wasn't on a one-man crusade. For me, it's been a journey of epic proportions and something I'm proud to achieve in spite of those that would oppose me. I've done what I came into politics to do, to make change happen for my local area. My odyssey began on the 5th of May 2023, and whilst I have some way to go yet, I feel as if I've returned home, hopefully to see it for the first time. Please approve this scheme, Councillor Revilius. Let's get it done.
Thank you, and thank you for all your efforts in changing ResPark, and I will very much take your comments into consideration. Thanks. I'd like to welcome Michael Kearney next to speak again about ResPark in the R66 zone. Would you like a 30-second reminder before the 3 minutes? Okay, just go when you're ready.
Having lived in the proposed residence park.
Oh, that's it.
Is it on now? Perfect. Having lived in the area since 2008,
I sit here not just as a long-term resident, but as someone deeply rooted in our community, someone who cares passionately about its future. And so I'm speaking in support of the R66 scheme because I believe it offers a fair, sensible and forward-looking solution for the people who call our area home. Our corner of York is unique. It is the only residential area alongside the inner ring road with unlimited free parking. As a result, our streets are overwhelmed daily by city centre shoppers, commuters, and visitors to the Barbican. People who choose our neighbourhood simply because it costs them nothing, but costs us everything. It means residents often cannot park near their homes. It affects our daily routines, our quality of life, and it deprives the council of revenue that could be reinvested into the services our community relies on. And the challenge will only intensify with the new homes being built across the road, with only 67 parking spaces for 240 homes. We all know what will happen next. Those cars will spill onto the surrounding streets, exacerbating the problems that already exist. Refusing this scheme would also run counter to the council's own climate change strategy, which outlines bold commitments to reduce distances travelled by motor vehicles, to promote active travel, and to reduce overall car usage through public transport and shared alternatives. These aren't abstract goals for you. These are achievable right here, right now, in our neighbourhood, simply by ending the current parking free-for-all. A residents' parking scheme would restore fairness and balance to the area. It would give us local people the basic ability to park near our homes. It would reduce congestion, improve safety, and encourage walking and cycling, just as similar schemes across York have successfully done. As local leaders, you will be remembered not for your promises or words, but for the actions that you take. Your own climate change strategy calls on you to continuously adapt to change, taking bold action. Well, today, I urge you to live up to those words and be bold. Take this action. Do what is right for the residents who rely on you. Don't delay this any further. Implement the R66 scheme and help us and our community to be fairer, safer and greener, the community that we all want to see. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will certainly take that into consideration. Thanks for coming along. So next speaker I've got is Peter Lindsay to speak about the one-way proposal for Walker Lane. Peter, do you want to come up? Would you like a 30-second reminder before the 3 minutes is up? You're fine. That's absolutely fine. Just go when you're ready.
Morning, everybody. I'm Peter Lindsay and I own the property 45 Main Street, Wheldrake. The property is on the junction of Walker Lane. I'm not new to Wheldrake. I was born there in the early 50s. My late parents bought 45 Main Street in 1972 and lived there for all their lives until latterly my mum passed away in 2013. And it was while I was at the solicitors waiting for probate and discussing the problems, a car hit the carport. The incident was heard by someone I knew who took names and addresses and phoned me. The people who damaged the carport paid for the damage. I took over the property and rented it out as it is today. Moving on to 2023, the letting agency informed me someone else had damaged the carport again, but this time no one was ever caught. The builder's report said it looked like someone had been reversing into Walker Lane and pushed into the first pillar, pushing it inwards. I had to subsequently pay for the repairs. I informed York District Council Highways Department, and on the 20th of June 23, I had a meeting with 2 inspectors to look at Walker Lane and what could be done. They implied it was too narrow for two-way traffic and their findings would be reported back. On the 12th of November 24, I attended a council meeting here and spoke to everyone like I have done today. Everything in the reports I agree with. At the widest point, Walker Lane is only 3.8 metres wide. Too narrow, even, as the council have said, to put in a footpath for pedestrians who constantly use it. Cars are forever passing the carport and then met by a car turning into Walker Lane on Main Street. The car on the main stops in the middle of the road because he cannot get any further. The car coming up Walker Lane to Main Street mounts the curb onto my drive and drives over the footpath as well. This is constantly happening. I've witnessed many times this sort of incident. Even Main Street has now become an obstacle course with cars parking wherever they like. I appeal to you all here today to make Walker Lane one way before there is a more serious accident. Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming in and for explaining the situation, and I'll certainly take that into account. Thank you.
Thank you.
So my next speaker is Hayley McKay. Morning. Would you like a 30-second reminder? You're all right. Yeah, just go when you're ready.
Good morning. My name is Hayley McKay. I'm a Wheldrake resident and have been my whole life. I'm here speaking today on behalf of my mother, Christine McKay, who does not feel comfortable speaking here at this meeting. She is a Wheldrake resident and is the owner of the hairdressing salon, number 2 Walker Lane, and has been for over 25 years. I feel this apparent issue has already been decided to suit one person who does not live in the village, but in actual fact rents out a house on the corner of Walker Lane and Main Street. The minor bump into the carport in 2023, which I believe was a delivery driver reversing onto Walker Lane from Main Street, was most probably an unfortunate accident. I'm sure this could have been prevented if visibility had not been obstructed by the vast amount of cars that park on Main Street close to the junction. The only other very minor incident on Walker Lane that I am aware of was over 20 years ago. The remainder of the village would appear very happy with the current use of Walker Lane and would like it to remain as it is without any changes. I was beyond disgusted to view an online video chaired by council members in 2024, which is a complete pack of lies. I am not aware of anyone on Walker Lane to be in favour of the proposed change other than the one person, but the clip video clearly states that they are. I question why I or others of Walker Lane were not invited to attend this meeting and have the chance to voice their opinions. My concerns if the road is made into a one-way street are traffic turning into the street faster. Currently, drivers approach the street with caution to assess whether the road is clear to continue. If they are not anticipating anything there, they will most definitely increase their speed. What then happens if a pedestrian or cyclist happens to be in the road? It will increase the chances of a collision. Who will police it? Cameras are costly and public finances could be put to much better use. Customers at the salon use the parking space in front of the salon. Some of the elderly clients have very limited mobility and they park their cars in the most suitable direction for them to access the salon. This is why it is vitally important that access is available from both directions. According to the decision report published by City of York Council, it states that the salon does not have a parking space. This is incorrect. The parking space is outside the salon door, and this is clearly marked on the deeds. Please update these details. The assessor that came out a while ago should have noted this as he spoke to my mother and customers. Other points to note, is the carport actually fit for purpose? Its main use currently is a wheelie bin store. I do not believe that the carport is practically wide enough for modern cars. This results in cars from the house in question parking on the corner of the junction of Walker Lane and Main Street. This drastically restricts visibility, as does the wooden boarding which has been placed at the end of the carport, which I was led to believe was meant to remain open to give full visibility. Would double yellow lines to both sides of the junction on Main Street at both sides of the road be a more suitable suggestion? Please see my diagram. On most days, there is at least 7 cars parked around the junction, causing visibility obstructions, one being the tenants of the house in question. I would like to register my concerns and my mother's, clients and other residents of the village. We all feel that accidents will be caused by the one-way restrictions if they're implied. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in, and I'm sorry to hear that you feel the 2024 meeting was misrepresentative. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I will look back at that. I'm happy to look at the diagram that you've sent, and I'll certainly raise the questions that you've raised there with officers. So thank you. So the final speaker I have for today is Colin Woods, again to speak about Walker Lane. Colin. Would you like a 30-second reminder? Okay, just go when you're ready. Yeah, just press it so it should come on green, the little mic symbol there. Have you got it? Yeah.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak at this meeting today. My name is Colin Woods. I live at 54 Main Street in Wheldrake, which is quite near to Walker Lane. It was brought to my attention that the council is proposing to change the direction of Walker Lane. I wish to object to the council's one-way traffic proposal on Walker Lane for the following reasons. The very long established hairdressers in Walker Lane, which serves the community well, should be regarded as a vital community asset. I feel that the council's current proposal could have an adverse effect on the hairdressers trade due to the possible reduction in customers, which could make the business fail should a one-way system be imposed and parking restrictions applied outside the shop. Some service users have an acute need to do this. A closure of the shop would be disastrous for the community's elderly residents who rely on the shop's services. I've inspected a copy of the draft order at the council's reception West offices, Station Rise, York. I did not see what prompted the council to propose the one-way traffic route. Can the council advise me, if it is allowed to do so, the person, group or organisation which asked for this to happen and the reasons why this was given? I think that's been explained today. When reviewing the documents at the council's reception, I did not see any evidence of a consultation process. By this, I mean the village residents, which in my view should include the folk that use the hairdressing service that is provided in the lane, should this have happened. Please note, I have seen the statutory notices that have been placed at each end of the lane, but I feel that on this occasion, more consultation needs to take place if this can be allowed. In my view, the lane has very minimal traffic, if any at all. And at this point, I do not understand why the proposed action is deemed necessary, given that the lane has been satisfactory for many decades, if not hundreds of years. It is a quiet road with minimal traffic, and a change now could have a detrimental effect on the older folk in the community. Some people, service users, find it necessary to go one way, and some people prefer to go the other way. This is due to the nature of their disabilities. Has the council considered the Equality Act and the inclusion of these people in the community when considering the proposed lane change? Can other options be considered? One option could be the placement of double yellow lines at both entrances to Walker Lane as car parks close to the junction on the main street. Also, a suitable bump barrier could be fitted to the property that is said to have been hit. Costing. Can the council provide anticipated spend for this project. Because of the points I've raised above, can the decision to implement the council's change be delayed until the points I've raised have been more fully considered and, if required, actioned? Thank you.
Thank you for coming along today. I've made a note of all those questions that you've asked. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so that concludes our public speaking session for today. If anyone, you're welcome to stay and listen to the rest of the session, or you're equally welcome to leave if you want to carry on and do other things with your day now. So we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is item 5. And this is to consider a residence parking bay and no waiting at any time restrictions on Queen Street. So Josh, are you going to introduce this one, or Gary? I'll let you. If you introduce yourselves first and then the report. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. My name is Joshua Singer. I'm the Head of Transport Projects for City of York Council. With regards to this decision report, we're seeking a decision in relation to a residence parking bay, no waiting at any time restrictions on Queen Street. We're seeking to introduce these as a mitigation directly related to the Station Gateway scheme, which, as we know, has removed some parking facilities that were immediately available to those residents on Queen Street. It also realigns the informally marked previously bays in front of the Fleetways taxi area to the local transport, in line with the local transport strategy to be used by residents and to be enforceable by the council. And the officer recommendation is to approve the implementation of the TRO.
Thank you. That's really clear. Thank you very much. Gary, were you going to add anything?
No, that's great. Thank you.
Right. So thank you for the work that's gone into this. I'm well aware that for the residents in this area, they have lost parking amenity as a result of the Station Gateway scheme. And this proposal goes some way to restoring some parking amenity. I also understand that the existing taxi rank is only available to Hackney taxis, so it wouldn't affect Fleetways taxis, which is directly next to it, by removing this taxi rank. And some replacement Hackney taxi rank has been found in a nearby location, I understand. So yeah, I am very comfortable to go ahead with this proposal. So I'd like to approve the option to move forward, which is at paragraph 14, to implement the TRO and associated road marking and signage changes to include 2 additional parking spaces with the existing residence parking provision. And I won't read all the TRO stuff, but it's at paragraph 14. So yeah, I'm happy to approve this, and thank you for the work that's gone into designing and getting this ready. Thank you. Lovely. Okay, we'll go on to item number 6 on the agenda, which is the residence parking and limited waiting restrictions advertised as R66 Wellington Street. So Anne-Marie, is this one for you?
Thank you. Anne-Marie Howarth, Traffic Projects Officer. This report is to consider the representations received during the statutory consultation and the extended statutory consultation for R66. The previous representations received to the initial consultation were presented at a meeting in May, where it was decided that the consultation should be extended to enable further engagement with residents due to some of the comments received about understanding of the process and the requirements for representations to be submitted. For the extended consultation, we did hand deliver all documents to ensure there was no discrepancies with the postal delivery service. And then during the consultation, we received 20 representations against, which was in addition to the 13 representations received in the initial statutory consultation. And then there were 61 responses in favour, with an additional 45 signed letters, and that was in addition to the 11 responses received during the initial statutory consultation.
the options available within the report for consideration, take into account the representations and also the local transport strategy. Thank you.
Thank you. Gary, did you want to add anything?
No, I'm happy with that, thank you.
Okay. So I'd like to say huge thanks to Anne-Marie and Darren for your patience with this process and for allowing us to extend the statutory consultation. And a huge thanks to the residents for their patience with the process, which has been long-winded and difficult. It's an area that's close to the city centre, as some of our public speakers have said, and it does suffer from commuter parking, and its narrow streets have issues with access for emergency vehicles and so on when there's this dense parking on the streets. But it's an area with a high proportion of rented properties, and it's historically struggled to gain the 50% response rate that we required from officers in order to move forward to the statutory consultation. So last year, when we did the informal consultation, although we hadn't achieved the 50% response rate, I decided to move forward to statutory consultation because the majority of people were in favour. And in the meantime, we have since changed our Res Park guidelines to enable areas that don't perhaps get that high response rate to still be considered for Res Park. And in this case, because this particular scheme sort of straddled the change in policy, I think for some residents it led to confusion, but we extended the statutory consultation period to make sure that everybody had opportunity to respond. So I am comfortable that people have had a good length of time to respond and to give their feedback. And although the result of the response is now that we have around 30% of the households have responded, so it's still not a very high response rate. Of that response rate, around 75% of those responses are in favour of having Res Park implemented in the area. I've read all the objections really thoroughly and taken those into account. For some of those objections, I think there are mitigations. So I would like to make it clear that we don't use Res Park as a revenue generator. That was one of a number of people were saying that this is the reason for implementing Res Park. It is not used in that way. The cost for us of enforcing near enough matches the revenue that we get from Res Park. So it thereabouts pays for itself, but it's not something that makes a huge amount of revenue. It's more of a policy tool to give residents parking amenity and to further the aims of our transport strategy of enabling people to use bus, walking, cycling, and so on. Holiday let parking, somebody mentioned in their objection that it would create difficulty for holiday let parking. I believe it's possible to buy a permit still if you have a holiday let for Res Park. Am I correct on that?
Yes, they'd be able to purchase one business permit for holiday let properties.
Yeah, so that would be possible. And also we are bringing forward overnight parking at our park and ride sites next year. So that will provide another alternative for anyone who's running holiday lets. Blue badge holders would can have a free Res Park permit in Res Park areas. And there were also a number of students who responded. My understanding is that the university strongly discourages students from bringing cars. Parking is very limited on university campuses. And so I would be surprised if there are lots of student households that are impacted heavily by this Res Park order. So I'm satisfied that the proposals contain sufficient available parking for local businesses as well. There are plenty of 60-minute bays on the main street. And anything else that I was going to say? Yeah, okay, so I appreciate that not everybody was in support, but like I said, around 75% of the responses were in support. And I'm satisfied that there is mitigation for a number of the objections that were raised. And that the support for the scheme, plus the benefits for the local area of better parking amenity, easier passage for the bus up Heslington Road, and a more comfortable environment for walking and cycling through the area, and improved access for emergency vehicles and refuse collections is sufficient reason to approve this scheme. So I'm going to go ahead with option 2 on the report, which is to progress the advertised R66 Res Park priority scheme and waiting restrictions on Heslington Road, and to implement the York parking stopping and waiting order. So thank you for all the work that's gone into this. And like I said to all residents, thank you for your patience, and hopefully this will make life easier in that area of York. So thank you. Okay, so next item on the agenda is item number 7, the proposed diversion of the public footpath at Nether Poppleton.
Yeah.
So Molly.
Thank you. Molly Kay, Assistant Rights of Way Officer. Excuse me. So we received an application from the landowner to divert the public footpath known as Nether Poppleton 1. The application was made by the landowner to enable solar development. The proposed diversion would move the current public footpath from the north side of the existing hedgerow to the south side. There'll be very little difference to members of the public. The proposed diversion will only be 10 metres longer and will have a greater recorded width of 1 metre than the current footpath. It will have a similar arable surface. We carried out the initial consultation from the 4th of August to the 5th of September, and no objections were received. Councillor Hook, Nether Poppleton Parish Council and the Ramblers were all in support of the proposed diversion, and there have been no further developments or updates since the briefing session we had with yourself in September. Therefore, we are recommending that the executive member authorises the making of a public path order to divert part of the public footpath Nether Poppleton 1, that we progress to the statutory consultation, and if no objections are received, or if objections are received and subsequently withdrawn, that the executive member authorises the confirmation of the order. In the event the order is confirmed, that the executive member authorises the making of a legal event modification order to change the definitive map. If objections are received and unresolved, we will refer back to the executive member to decide whether or not we abandon the proposal or refer it to the Secretary of State for a final decision, as the council does not have the power to confirm opposed orders.
Lovely. Thank you. So yeah, thanks for all the work that's gone into looking at this. I'm absolutely content in that I can see it results in a footpath of equivalent length and equivalent quality. There's no particular additional financial burden to the council, and it diverts the footpath users away from the solar farm. So it all seems to make sense. So I'm very happy to approve option 1, which is at paragraph 32, to authorise the making of the public path order to divert part of the path. And I won't read through all the paragraphs, but yeah,
Okay.
Paragraph 32, option 1. So thank you for all the work.
Thank you for
Thanks.
that. Thank you.
Okay, and then the next item on the agenda is item number 8, Walker Lane. Darren, are you introducing this one? Yeah, lovely.
Good morning, Darren Hobson, Highway Regulation Manager. As some of the public speakers spoke, the report is about a one-way system on Walker Lane, Wheldrake. The proposal was brought forward following a request from a resident after damage to their property due to the width of the lane. As the one of the annexes shows, it's about 3 meters wide. This does cause issues for different property vehicles as they go down there. You do struggle to get two-way traffic. One of the speakers did say that the report was incorrect. It said they didn't have staff parking or parking out front. We did where the barbers hairdressers did have parking, but we were told it was staff parking, not for customers. That's why the report. So I apologise for the misrepresentation in the report for that. that speaker also spoke about lack of consultation, the informal consultation that they spoke about a year ago. We had one objection to a proposal for a one-way system, which did come from that speaker. Everyone else at that point was in favour. Subsequently, they have had objections from those when they've had more time to speak about it. The recommendation within the report is to implement the one-way due to the width of the street and the danger that it does cause to users, because two cars passing, there would not be room for pedestrians or cyclists to pass, and you will get added conflicts from the danger. So the recommendation within the report is to implement the one-way system.
Thank you. Yep, so this one, my understanding is the proposal was instigated from this damage to a residential property some 2 years ago, and that there hasn't been any instances of damage since then. I'm grateful to officers for exploring the options and working with residents on this particular proposal. And I can completely see that the narrow width of the road means that the only option you could bring forward was a one-way system for this road. However, I'm concerned that that by doing this, we're not really providing any benefit for people who are walking up and down the road. In fact, it may maybe make it worse, because vehicles will be proceeding faster if they're not expecting to meet something coming the other way. And it prevents contraflow cycling, so it leaves cyclists having to go a longer way around. And given that our transport strategy prioritises sustainable travel, and it puts pedestrians first and then cyclists and vehicles lower down in the hierarchy, and our commitment is to make it easier and safer for people to walk and cycle, I can't really see how this proposal fits with our transport strategy and furthers that strategy. I'm not convinced that there is enough of a concern about the damage to the building being a regular occurrence to warrant moving forward with this proposal. And I would only want to bring forward a proposal that adds benefit for pedestrians and cyclists, and I can't see that, and for sustainable travel, and I can't see that this proposal does that. I'm also mindful that some of the public speakers mentioned the parking around the junction of the road with Main Street, and I don't know how much truth there is in that, but whether the parking around the junction is contributing to the risk of collision with that building on the corner. So I suppose propose that if anything, we were to look at restrictions around the junction to reduce the risk of vehicles colliding with that building. But for now, I'm not going to take further action on this particular proposal. So I'm going to go with option A in the report at paragraph 26, to take no further action. Because, like I said, I don't feel that this brings any progress on our transport strategy, and I don't feel that the risk warrants the proposed amendment to traffic flow in this situation. So I'm sorry that it's caused a lot of potentially unnecessary work for officers, although it's useful to know that we have that option and we can fall back on it if the problem does persist. And I'd like to thank officers for the work that has gone into this, and residents for engaging on this. But for now, we'll take no further action. So that's option A at paragraph 26. Okay, so that brings us to the close of the meeting, unless anyone has any further urgent business to bring forward. So the meeting is closed. Thank you, everybody.